On the shelf stands a black plastic candelabrum. It has 5 grandchildren, simulated wax crawling down the sides, a dusting of silver paint, and several battery-powered flames that flutter with the spiritual authority of dashboard indicators. From across the room, it promises a minor, haunted castle. In the hand, it weighs less than the receipt. Every line of the object refers to something absent. Its branching form recalls church furnishings, funeral rites, formal dinners, domestic prayer, and evenings governed by actual darkness. Its black surface borrows the dignity of iron. Its molded drips imitate the evidence of candles burned while people ate, mourned, read, prayed, argued, reconciled, or waited for someone to return home. Yet the thing can hold no flame. It can develop no patina. It cannot survive a serious repair. It retains the silhouette of an inherited object after the inheritance itself has been carted away. This little candelabrum contains the central problem with mass-market Goth merchandise. It reproduces recognizable signs while discarding the qualities that once made those signs meaningful. The plastic goblet copies silver without possessing its weight. The resin skull borrows the memento mori while teaching neither contemplation nor carving. The battery candle simulates fire after removing the heat, danger, scent, maintenance, and ceremony. Modern manufacturing has performed a peculiar trick. It has made the appearance of age widely available in objects incapable of aging. You can buy the look of a 300-year-old household and throw it away before next October. Apparently, the ancestral crypt now observes a seasonal return policy. The older household knew no strict boundary between the useful object and the beautiful one. Locks, candle holders, chests, knives, gates, drinking vessels, books, and clothing carried ornament because ordinary life deserved form. A craftsman did not begin with an abstract category called decor. He began with something that had to perform a task. It had to endure handling. It had to belong somewhere within the customs of a household. The iron latch had to close the door. The carved chest had to hold linen. The silver cup had to meet the mouth. Beauty entered through function and gave function dignity. Goth still longs for this union. That longing explains the candles, iron gates, mourning dress, old books, reliquaries, dark rooms, carved furniture, ruined churches, and gardens that seem to have learned sorrow from the moon. Beneath the commercial clutter lies a desire for a world in which objects bear spiritual weight. Yet spiritual weight demands material obedience. Iron must be forged, wood must be joined, wax must burn. The plastic candelabrum asks to be recognized rather than used. One buys it, photographs it, arranges it beside other category-approved objects, and eventually replaces it with a newer arrangement. It never enters the household's memory. It acquires dust, though never history. That distinction matters. A possession becomes part of a culture when people preserve it, repair it, interpret it, and transmit it. The scratches on a dining table may record 40 years of family life. A worn handle shows where hands repeatedly rested. A repaired hinge says that someone once looked at a damaged chest and decided it deserved another decade. Black plastic gives Goth the outline of a world. The workshop must restore its substance. Gothic has been reduced to a kit of portable signals: black surfaces, skulls, ravens, bats, crosses, roses, spikes, pointed arches, moons, medieval lettering produced by a computer that has probably never suffered. Each symbol can carry meaning. Piled together without judgment, they resemble 6 choirs attempting different hymns in the same stairwell. This reduction was convenient for commerce. A coherent artistic tradition requires study, trained labor, patient patrons, and materials chosen for their nature. A symbol kit can be printed on anything. The same skull migrates from a polyester blanket to a tumbler, from the tumbler to a phone case, from the phone case to a soap dispenser. Nothing about the underlying object changes. Gothic arrives as a sticker, occasionally a rather expensive sticker. Online retail made the problem worse because every product must declare its category within the second allotted by a moving thumb. Subtle proportion takes attention. Good joinery asks the eye to pause. Texture cannot be felt through glass. Historical illusion requires the dangerous habit of knowing history. A purple skull wearing a tiny top hat requires none of this. The platform rewards instant recognition. Give an aesthetic a name, and merchants can gather unrelated goods beneath a searchable label. Once the label becomes familiar, the merchandise may grow cheaper while its symbols grow louder. A simple black dress becomes a Goth dress after the addition of 3 unnecessary straps and a zipper positioned where no sane tailor would put one. The customer receives a category. The maker receives a sales term. The culture receives another object that cannot survive a washing machine. The older Gothic revival rested upon a severe conviction. Architecture revealed the character of the society that built it. A pointed arch was never an isolated logo. It belonged to a system of masonry, proportion, light, worship, labor, and social order. Clustered shafts drew the eye upward while carrying real structural force. Stained glass ordered daylight according to sacred meaning. Carved ornament grew from the building rather than arriving as an adhesive package after construction. John Ruskin cared about marks left by workmen because those marks showed a human intelligence meeting resistant material. Augustus Pugin considered a building's plan, purpose, ornament, and moral vision inseparable. Gothic described a way of building long before it became a way of decorating. This is why an old church can be read. The arch gathers weight and redirects it. The window alters light. The aisle governs movement. The tower announces authority across distance. Stone, glass, timber, metal, image, and ceremony speak within one grammar. No competent medieval mason would glue a plastic gargoyle beside a classical column and defend the result as personal expression. Contemporary Goth merchandise possesses symbols without grammar. The skull, cross, raven, and rose appear together because each registers as dark, yet they may refer to mortality, sacrifice, prophecy, purity, grief, memory, or resurrection. Without order, the customer receives intensity without meaning. A medieval manuscript might arrange color, architecture, animals, gesture, text, and ornament across a single page. Every detail participates in a larger drama. The page rewards prolonged attention. A skull print shower curtain has exhausted its argument before the water grows warm. Goth will remain easy prey for the merchandise mill as long as it defines itself through inventory. A culture has principles by which objects can be judged. A market category has products. The distinction begins with material. Consider 2 chairs. One is built from oak with mortise and tenon joints. It has a wool-covered seat and carved tracery along its back. The second is assembled from fiberboard, foam, staples, and black vinyl. Resin ornaments have been glued around its edges. Both are black. The resemblance ends there. Serious Gothic design depends upon proportion, structure, shadow, vertical movement, meaningful ornament, and the character of the chosen material. Black can gather these qualities into a solemn whole. It cannot supply them. A badly proportioned cabinet remains badly proportioned after receiving ebony paint. Black conceals many sins, which explains its popularity among furniture manufacturers and former monarchs. Materials teach habits of perception. Wrought iron carries weight and records the hammer. Wood reveals grain, growth, and the direction in which it prefers to be cut. Silver darkens beneath air and touch, then yields again to polishing. Leather softens around the body. Wool possesses gravity. Linen can survive years of washing without immediately confessing defeat. Each material establishes limits. The maker must learn them. Cheap substitutes imitate the surface while refusing the discipline. Vinyl resembles leather from the distance favored by online photographs. Chrome-colored resin resembles metal until someone touches it. Printed fiberboard impersonates wood while possessing no grain and permitting little repair. Such materials pass directly from new to broken. They skip the honorable middle years. Those middle years are where ownership becomes personal. Wear allows the owner to enter the history of the object. A polished edge reveals touch. A faded section of cloth records sunlight. A repaired clasp tells of breakage, irritation, patience, and return. A community that commissions stone, glass, iron, wool, and wood declares confidence in continuity. It expects the building to stand, the garment to endure, the object to be carried into another room by someone who has not yet been born. A community filling its homes with disposable imitations expects no descendants to ask where anything came from. Its possessions have already packed their bags. The standard Goth must recover is demanding, though easy to state. The material should suit the object's purpose. Its construction should be intelligible. It should permit maintenance. It should gain character through use. A cup should survive drinking. A coat should survive weather. A candle holder should accept fire. A chair should remain dignified beneath the indignity of a seated human being. Black is powerful when it frames substance. Detached from substance, it becomes camouflage for rubbish. The same loss appears in symbolism. A skull carved beneath a church tomb addresses every passerby with a severe message: you will die. A skull molded into the pump of a soap bottle offers a gentler revelation: you are nearly out of hand soap. The difference concerns placement, material, purpose, and ceremony. Symbols draw force from their setting. A cross at the center of worship refers to a particular death, sacrifice, victory, and promise. A rose changes meaning beside a grave, in a lover's hand, beneath the feet of the Virgin, or embroidered upon mourning clothes. A raven may announce memory, prophecy, provision, battlefield death, or literary dread. These motifs are not free-floating packets of darkness. Medieval artists arranged animals, plants, colors, saints, monsters, gestures, and architectural forms within coherent programs. Their images taught the viewer how to see. The symbol did more than decorate a surface. It directed the mind beyond immediate appearance. Goth inherited fragments of this language through Christian art, romantic literature, cemetery sculpture, Victorian mourning customs, horror cinema, album covers, and the visual codes of several underground music scenes. Its vocabulary remains richer than its commercial treatment suggests. Victorian mourning clothes offer a revealing example. Black dresses, veils, jewelry, and recognized stages of mourning emerged from a culture in which grief had public forms. Dress made loss visible. Material and etiquette allowed sorrow to be read by others. Contemporary Goth often preserves the objects after forgetting the syntax. A room may contain 12 skulls, 5 crosses, 3 ravens, artificial roses, a Ouija board coffee table, and a neon bat. Each item shouts its category. Together, they say remarkably little. Decorative noise has swallowed symbolic speech. Recovery begins with restraint. Before placing a motif upon a garment, wall, book, or household object, learn its origin. Learn its customary material and location. Learn the associations it carried before an overseas factory placed it on a throw pillow. Then choose one governing symbol. Let the supporting forms serve it quietly. A carved rose on a dark wooden chest can say more than a flock of resin gargoyles conducting an air raid across the mantle. The maker bears responsibility for the world his symbols summon. A cross should not be reduced to atmosphere. A skull should invite remembrance instead of serving as a membership badge. A candle should give light during a meal, vigil, ceremony, or evening of reading. Symbols have survived centuries. They need not elbow one another for shelf space. An aesthetic matures when its admirers begin making the world it depicts. A workbench tells the truth quickly. On it lie shears, awls, files, punches, needles, clamps, unfinished pieces, failed pieces, and one piece beginning to resemble the object its maker had in mind. There is no filter that improves a crooked seam. Iron has never cared how strongly the apprentice identifies as a blacksmith. This severity is good for Goth. The workshop converts desire into knowledge. A person who admires a morning coat must learn pattern cutting, lining, button placement, seam finishing, and fit. A person who admires iron gates must learn heat, balance, hammer control, welding, corrosion, and the stubborn personality of hot metal. Admiration becomes accountable to matter. The older guilds understood stages of formation. An apprentice copied established work, learned the tools, absorbed workshop customs, and eventually produced the finished object from which we derive the word masterpiece. Mastery had to appear in matter. Self-description carried little weight beside the object on the table. Goth needs that discipline in tailoring, jewelry, leatherwork, smithing, carpentry, stained glass, bookbinding, illustration, music, and ceremonial design. Each trade offers a modest beginning: a hand-sewn collar, a forged candle spike, a carved frame, a cloth-bound volume of poetry, a mourning brooch, a stained glass panel designed around one flower. The first project should be small enough to finish and difficult enough to expose weakness. A sound candle holder contributes more to Goth culture than plans for an imaginary cathedral stored beside 17 unfinished novels. The cathedral can wait until the mortise fits. The longing already exists. What remains scarce is the practical knowledge needed to produce the room, garment, book, garden, procession, and ceremony through which that longing becomes common life. The workshop must become a school. A serious Gothic circle, could keep a directory of craftspeople. It could publish accounts of their methods, host demonstrations, and pair beginners with working makers. Each commission could identify its historical sources, materials, labor, and care requirements. Mystique has its place. It becomes suspicious when employed to conceal hot glue. Earlier cultures built great work through coalitions of skill. Public monuments required sculptors, masons, painters, carpenters, metalworkers, patrons, clergy, civic officers, and laborers. Many hands performed different duties within a common undertaking. Culture endured because people had obligations within it. Goth will begin to mature when its members ask fewer questions about where to buy the look and more about who can teach the stitch. The same judgment must enter the wardrobe. A commercial Goth coat often looks impressive while no one is moving. It contains buckles that close nothing, straps that support nothing, pockets that hold nothing, and enough thin metal hardware to make a washing machine reconsider its vocation. The garment was designed for instant recognition in a photograph. Tuesday afternoon did not attend the fitting. Clothing becomes culture when it serves recurring occasions. A serious Gothic wardrobe must carry its wearer through work, dinner, travel, mourning, performance, courtship, worship, and formal gatherings. The aesthetic must survive daylight and grocery stores. Midnight has been carrying far too much of the schedule. Historical dress worked because silhouette rested upon construction. Court clothing, clerical garments, military tailoring, Victorian morning wear, and early Goth fashion made the body legible within a social order. Fabric, cut, ornament, and color communicated office, grief, modesty, allegiance, station, or occasion. Even rebellion depended upon others being able to read the code. A mature wardrobe can recover this principle without pretending the year is 1872. Begin with a fitted wool coat. Wear sound boots that can be resoled. Choose natural fibers where they make sense. Keep one formal garment. Use restrained jewelry. Repair leather. Alter existing clothes before replacing them. Commission one excellent piece when funds permit. Choose hardware that performs a function and ornament that means something. Purchase lace sturdy enough to survive its first encounter with a sleeve. The aim is coherence rather than abundance. Online commerce teaches people to build identity through repeated purchase. Once a person enters a named category, the feed supplies an endless stream of goods through which membership can be confirmed. The wardrobe becomes a subscription service disguised as selfhood. Real dress moves in another direction. The wearer learns what suits his body, duties, climate, means, and station. Garments acquire repairs and associations. The coat worn to funerals differs from the coat worn to concerts because occasions deserve distinctions. One inherited brooch may command greater attention than a drawer filled with inexpensive pendants. A garment worth mending asks more from its owner. In return, it becomes capable of accompanying a life. The wardrobe should outlive the photograph because the person must outlive the performance. Luxury begins at this same point. Place a carved walnut mirror beside a molded resin copy. Both may carry Gothic ornament. The resin frame possesses flawless repetition because no human hand was required to make one leaf differ from the next. The carved frame records pressure, grain, hesitation, correction, and skill. One pretends to possess a past. The other begins one. Luxury has been reduced to price, brand, and theatrical packaging. This arrangement pleases manufacturers because the price may rise while the object grows worse. The buyer receives status without the inconvenience of learning about joinery, cloth weight, metal purity, carving, origin, or repair. Ignorance arrives in a handsome box. Genuine luxury resides in sound material, rare skill, careful proportion, limited production, personal service, and long use. Its meaning continues after purchase. Polishing silver, conditioning leather, mending lace, resoling boots, rewiring lamps, sharpening tools, and refinishing wood convert possession into stewardship. Silver offers a fine lesson. It bears touch. It tarnishes. It receives engraving. It can survive repair and pass between sacred and domestic use. Its surface records the behavior of generations. A Gothic interior should grow by the same law. Instead of purchasing 20 disposable decorations at once, a household might spend years acquiring a forged lamp, a carved chest, a framed engraving, wool curtains, a sound table, and a hand-bound book. The room develops slowly. Its darkness comes from shadow falling across things with substance. Such a room educates the eye. It teaches patience, care, hierarchy, and attachment. A room filled with novelty merchandise teaches seasonal replacement. One prepares heirs, the other prepares shoppers. Repair completes the meaning of luxury because repair announces that the object is worth saving. Damage becomes part of its biography. A mended coat, restored chair, or rewired lamp carries the memory of failure without surrendering its form. The luxurious Goth household should contain fewer objects than the retail version, and better ones than the retail version can easily provide. Ask who made the thing. Ask what it is made from. Ask how it was constructed. Ask whether it can be repaired. Ask whether its form will remain dignified after the feed has found another adjective. Replacement is easy. Permanence charges tuition. Yet individual taste cannot sustain a living craft on its own. A metalworker cannot spend 40 hours forging a candelabrum for customers trained to compare his price with a factory copy costing $19 and arriving tomorrow morning. Appreciation does not pay for tools, fuel, rent, medical bills, or the prototype that leaned like a bishop after supper. Craft survives through patronage. Scattered purchases help, though a maker needs regular work to deepen his art. A culture needs ways to gather money, commission objects, judge results, and teach patrons why good work costs what it does. A Gothic commissioning circle could begin with a small group contributing a fixed amount each month. Once every season, the members might select one object and one qualified craftsperson. The maker would present sources, drawings, material choices, estimated labor, and plans for repair. After criticism and revision, the workshop would produce a documented limited run. Patrons would receive the finished object with the maker's name, care instructions, and a record of the design. Such an arrangement educates everyone. Buyers learn to distinguish solid wood from printed fiberboard. They learn the difference between cast ornament and hand chasing, between wool and synthetic felt, between stitched soles and glued ones. They learn to recognize a historical reference rather than decorative pillage. The maker receives predictable work and a demanding audience. The critic can judge the object against its stated purpose. Everyone escapes the foggy doctrine that a thing becomes worthy because someone felt warmly toward it for 11 seconds. Public culture requires creators, patrons, standards, and occasions in which completed work enters common life. Solitary creators sending photographs into a feed cannot carry the whole burden. The guild once supplied continuity. It trained apprentices, preserved methods, defended members, regulated trade, funded public works, and participated in civic ceremony. Guilds could become restrictive, as human arrangements often do once someone discovers a chair and a title. Yet they understood a truth that the creator economy tries to hide. Artistic greatness rests upon social arrangements. No masterpiece descended into an empty room untouched by contracts, merchants, apprentices, tools, donors, and deadlines. Great art requires vision. It also requires someone to buy the pigment and unlock the door in the morning. A regional Gothic guild could begin modestly. A tailor, jeweler, bookbinder, carpenter, musician, and several patrons could undertake one shared commission. Their first public work might be a formal dinner, a small exhibition, a printed catalog, or an object made for a local church or cemetery. The purpose would be production under shared standards. Networking without a common task usually becomes an exchange of business cards between people hoping someone else has a business. A mature subculture becomes a cultural order when its money acquires direction. Return to the plastic candelabrum. Its silver paint has begun to rub away. One artificial flame no longer works. The sealed battery compartment resists repair. The object once promised antiquity. 6 months later, it has achieved the appearance of a neglected theatrical prop. Replace it. Do not visit another seasonal aisle. Commission a candelabrum in forged iron or cast bronze. Design it for real candles. Give it a stable base, replaceable sockets, and parts that a future metalworker can repair. Draw its ornament from one coherent source. Perhaps the ironwork of a local Gothic revival church. Perhaps a medieval botanical pattern. Perhaps the funerary gate of an old cemetery, or the tracery of a building known to the patrons. Document the work from beginning to end. Record the cheap object that provoked the commission. Preserve the research, drawings, failed prototypes, sources of material, hours of labor, criticism, revisions, finishing, and final placement. Publish the true cost. Name the maker. Include instructions for cleaning and repair. Leave space in the record for later owners to enter names, dates, damage, and alterations. A tradition cannot survive through appearances alone. It must transmit methods. The medieval workshop handed down ways of seeing, selecting, cutting, mixing, joining, correcting, and judging. Contemporary Goth possesses an enormous archive of images, but a thin inheritance of procedures. It knows what the lost world looked like from across the room. The new candelabrum must serve an actual household. It should stand in a dining room, chapel, library, or hall. It should give light during an annual meal, a memorial, a vigil, or an evening devoted to music and conversation. It should enter the rhythm of life instead of waiting upon a shelf for compliments. When the work is finished, dedicate it. Gather the maker and patrons around a table. Light the first candle in memory of the craftspeople whose work supplied its ancestry. Light the second for the new workshop. Let wax descend honestly. Let the iron grow warm. Ceremony tells everyone present that the object has entered common life. Another commission can follow, perhaps a carved doorway, a mourning brooch, an illuminated book, a formal coat, an iron gate, a stained glass panel. In time, the objects will begin to converse with one another. Makers will acquire a recognizable character. Patrons will acquire judgment. Apprentices will appear. Successful work will form a standard beside a useful graveyard of failures. That is how subculture enters history. Earlier guilds placed their beliefs, trades, hierarchy, humor, memory, and hope into stone, cloth, glass, pigment, and metal. Their work still speaks because those who commissioned it expected their city to have a future. Goth can recover that confidence. It can cease pretending to own relics and begin making the first artifacts of a living tradition. It can raise its standards from recognizability to meaning, from merchandise to craft, from collection to inheritance. The cure for disposable Goth begins with one beautiful object made under a vow of permanence. Years from now, someone will carry that iron candelabrum into another house. The finish will have darkened. Wax will remain in narrow seams around the sockets. A repair may be visible beneath one branch. Its record will contain names unfamiliar to its newest owner. Then, a match will strike. The flame will catch. Real light will gather against iron shaped by a human hand. Shadows will climb the walls of a room built slowly, through judgment and care, by people who refuse to furnish their lives from a bin of theatrical remains. The plastic imitation promised a lost world. The workshop will give that world weight, ceremony, memory, and heirs. A grand world awaits.